basketball tonight. They scored 20 points on us gambling. They had 16 offensive rebounds. We ball watched all night. We said no dare shots. I'll go through it. They probably made 6, 7 uncontested threes. Just shortcuts. You want to be a good team, you want to win in the NBA, you got to do the hard stuff. We couldn't even pass to each other. We couldn't enter our offense running ball screens literally at half court. Yeah, that's going to end up in a turnover. I don't know what we're doing.
Who's coaching that team? JJ went analyst mode. Like, buddy, you're the coach. Brew, is this a bad night or a bad sign?
Well, you remember they were saying he might be, or the Lakers thought he could be the next Pat Riley.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was a page out of Pat Riley's book.
Just ripping your
Jeff
own
Van
stuff.
Gundy. Yeah, I covered Van Gundy was like that. Like, no excuses. I like that. No excuses. Now, they were, and I'm glad you said it, they weren't only missing LeBron, they were missing 2 other starters in Hachimura and Jackson Hayes. Now, all of a sudden, Jackson Hayes.
Yeah, well, without Jackson Hayes, what are we going to do?
But still, he does fit what they do. And still, Redick is like, we got to execute. We can win if we just do what we do.
Yeah, you're
we
playing
need
the
to do.
Nets.
So, yeah, I like, right, especially playing the Nets. But I like that. But it was both. It was a bad night, obviously. Everything he said was right. They didn't play hard enough. They didn't execute well enough. When you're missing that many guys, you got to really be dialed in and communicate on defense. Lucas even said they didn't communicate well enough defensively. And you hope the reserves who are getting more minutes because of the injuries really look at it like, man, oh, this is my night to shine. And they didn't, and so they went down. So it was a bad night in that. And then as far like Austin Reeves, and I think he'll get it together, but since he's been back from injury, he has been very bad. Last night he was 3 for 14. He's shooting 25% since he's been back from injury. Yes. So he'll get it going, but he was bad last night. And Luka still just isn't, where he needs to be. Right. And I think he's working back towards it. Silver lining again, maybe this will be, he's got to put more on his shoulders with LeBron out. So he'll have to work more into who he really is. But he didn't play well last night either. I also think, Nick, the refs, because there were some, and this was going around online.
Shoved in the back.
Right.
Oh.
There was but that was like some of the calls he complained about were a little iffy.
Like, what are you
You
doing?
saw him. That was ridiculous.
It seemed aggressive.
That should have not only been a foul, that should have been like a flagrant foul.
Or a technical or something.
Yeah,
whatever.
And so I think the refs, though, which I kind of understand it just from a human perspective, they're like, man, look, we're tired of you, dude. Like, every time there is anything close to contact, you go off and show us up and all this stuff. Now, he should have got that call, don't get me wrong. But some of the stuff he was bemoaning was not bad.
That is Luka, and if he goes beyond, then they should tee him up. And if he goes beyond again, throw him out of the game, like, do whatever you want. But part of being a professional goes both ways.
I
the
agree with
refs
that.
can't be like, and I agree with you, as a human being, it seems reasonable. But the professional thing can't be, you're irritating me, so I'm not going to do literally what I'm paid here to do.
I agree with you.
And I also thought I should have had Dust pull the video. My apologies. But I didn't know we were going to get into this. Also, midway through the fourth quarter, they just robbed him of an and one. He was saying that the foul was on the floor, and there was literally no contact until he was shooting. And that, in a game this close, that could have mattered. But I agree with everything Bruce said, and I wrote most of it down. Point one, Luka needs to be Luka.
Yeah. So when is that going to happen? We're past the injury. We got a little bit of injury. All right, working back. All right, new team, a little bit. Like, when am I starting to worry about this?
I would not ever be worried about it. Because, I don't think no player at 26 years old who's been first-team All-NBA with merit and last year could have deservingly been the league MVP who didn't suffer a catastrophic injury just stops being that player.
I don't want to be argumentative. He was also,
traumatized?
No. Oh. That's part of it, the depression of moving across. And I know that the narrative is Nico Harrison and the Mavs are total fools.
That's not just the narrative, it's accurate.
Perhaps, but I'm just not willing.
Well,
I'm carving out a slice of, hey, maybe they have got a point.
But
this is what they're saying, and I'm more on Nick's side, obviously, but they're saying you see Luka, yeah, he's still great, but he's not what he was a couple years ago, and they're thinking in 3 or 4 years he will.
Yeah, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. They didn't trade their own explanation, even if they're not fools, which they were. And we can't go from going into the Celtics game, us all being agog that this has happened. The Lakers have gotten Luka. They're on an 8-game winning streak. And then they lose a tough game against Celtics and LeBron gets hurt. They have a bad game last night.
I'm just saying I'm not willing to say I'll never be worried.
But to be clear, they did not and they gave every explanation there was, at any point be like, we don't think he's as good anymore. They were saying, we think in 3 years he might not be as good as he is now, and that's when this contract's going to be $60+ million a year. He was at his absolute best he's ever been as a pro last season and was playing at a very similar level the month leading into Christmas when he got hurt. So I am not worried about Luka at all, but he needs to play better.
And in fairness, he has, I mean, the numbers don't look tremendous with the Lakers, but he has played well. He's had some big games. That's why we both picked him to win the West.
8 of 20. Listen, 8 of 26. His shot has not been as reliable as it will be. So that's the first point. I'm not worried about that at all. Austin Reeves has to be way better. You mentioned it since the injury. So I think he's playing himself back into it. And then the last one, they have to get healthy-ish. You can't play in the NBA 6'8" and under. You just can't. And Alex Len, you're better off playing 6'8" and under or giving Alex Len in. And listen, I've saved. Rob Pelinka's earned, a grace period by not hanging up on Nico Harrison. However, being Alex Len was going to come save the day, and then he's relegated to the bench immediately because there's a reason he was out of basketball. We're seeing it again whenever he plays. But here's the reality. 6 games in 8 days because of the wildfires. 4 of those are against Denver and Milwaukee, and they're both back-to-backs. They're at Milwaukee, at Denver, then they have a day off, then it's a back-to-back.
And Phoenix won't be a
Suns, Spurs, and then a day off, and then back-to-back Nuggets, Milwaukee. So I've just resigned myself to, I think they're dropping to the 4-5.
Well,
I think they're dropping to the 4-5, and I think, again, glass half full guy, we are in store for an all-time round 2 of these NBA playoffs. We're out east. We have Cleveland, Milwaukee, and Boston, New York. And out west, we have OKC, Lakers, and Denver, Golden State. And that is what, I mean, again, there's a lot of, the puzzle pieces have to drop right, but Denver right now is a favorite to me to be the 2. Golden State is a favorite to be the 6. So that would mean Golden State would have to knock off Memphis. But I think that's what we're looking at, and I'm not worried about the Lakers in round 1 against Houston or Memphis. And I think that, LeBron will, obviously they've got to get LeBron back, but in the meantime, they need to get one of their guys who's 6'10" or taller back, or they're going to have trouble against every team. The only way they can compete in those games is with LeBron and Luke out there, and LeBron's obviously not back.
Let me throw this out there too, Wilds. During their 2-month stretch as the best defense in the league, and people had talked about this, but, obviously they were packing in the paint and not giving up threes, but, trying to direct the bad three-point shooters on the other teams to shoot threes. And it was working, whereas the opponents shot 33% from three-point range over those 2 months against the Lakers. And that was best in the league.
It's going to swing back.
Yeah, because the league average is near 36% from 3. So you would think that is going to come back. In the last 2 games, teams have shot 37% in Boston and last night Brooklyn. Yeah. So if that comes back, the defense should still be good, but it may not be tops in the league.
All right, meanwhile, Denver bounced back in a back-to-back against OKC. Joker had 35 and 18.